Hi, in this lesson we're going to take an introduction to look at laws of indices. So this basically builds upon what you might have seen before using powers and roots. So let's recap right at the start what powers mean. So here we've got a bunch of powers which will have a base of 7. The power basically means how many times you see that number. So 7 squared means 7 times 7, 7 cubed means 7 times 7 times 7. And 7 to the 5 means 7 times 7 times 7 times 7 times 7, where the power tells you how many 7s you are going to see. Most time today, we're going to see this working with letters rather than numbers, so y to the 4 would be y times y times y times y. And again, we can go the other way around. If we've got a bunch of numbers times together, here I have 4 5s multiplied together, so that is 5 to the power of 4. Here I've got 3 6s. So that is 6 to the power of 3. Here I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 a's, which therefore means it's a to the power of 6. So the power is how many times you see that number. Okay, that will sort of build upon this idea. What we're looking is problems like this. So you've got x to the 4 times x to the 5. To work it out, we're going to use what we just saw. X to the 4, well that simply means, let's do that in blue. That simply means x times x times x times x. Multiply by x to the 5. I'll do x to the 5 in red. And that means I'm going to have 5 x's. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. However, now we can simplify this. We can basically ignore this top half and we can realise this is just a power of x. So we can group all these terms together. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 terms of x multiplied together. So this just simplifies to x to the power of 9. And that's your answer. So if you want to simplify it, x to the 4 times x to the 5 equals x to the power of 9. And all you're doing right now is just counting how many x's there are. So let's see again. So we've got y squared times y squared. Again, I'll do the first one in blue. So y squared is just y times y. I'll do the second one in red. And y squared is also y times y. Again, this we can simplify by looking at how many y's we've got. I have 1, 2, 3, 4. So therefore it's y to the power of 4. Hopefully by now soon you might be spotting a pattern that's going on here. Just do one more this way. So I'll do the first one in red. A to the 5 means I'm going to have 5 a's times together. A to the 3 means I'm going to have 3 a's times together. It makes no sense. It makes perfect sense. If I've got 5 a's here and I've got 3 a's here, then altogether I have 8 a's. And that takes us to our key rule that when we multiply, we want to add the powers together. So what I mean is x to 10 means you have 10 x's. X to 7 means you have 7 x's. That means altogether, I now have 17 x's. So when you multiply these things together, you add the powers. So again, if you had x to the 5 times x squared, 5 plus 2 is 7, so it is x to the 7. That's how many x's you have in total. Okay, moving on. We're going to look at the same kind of thing with those powers, those indices, but now we'll look at division. Before we get on to that, just a reminder that you've hopefully seen this before, division means the same thing as a fraction. So 1 divided by 2 means the exact same thing as 1 over 2 the fraction of half. And you should recognise that both of them are 0.5. So 3 divided by 4 means 3 over 4, both of which equals 0.75. And 7 divided by 2 is the same as 7 over 2. Okay? That comes in really handy now. We're going to look at this problem here. We have y to the 7 divided by y squared. So that will equal y7 over, as a fraction, y squared. I'm now going to do the same thing as before. I'm going to write these out in terms of y's and how many we have. So y to the 7 means I have 7 y's. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And that is divided by y squared, which means I have 2 y's. The key rule here is that any y's on the top can cancel out any y's on the bottom. So what I mean is, I have a y here and a y here, and if you divide y by y, they both cancel out and basically make each other vanish. So any pairs of y's you have on top and bottom can cancel each other out. So we can cancel away 2 y's. However, now there's no y's left, and we can just count how many y's we have left. Here I've got left 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 y's left, so y to the power of 5. Let's go for another and see if we can't spot a pattern. So here you've got b to the 5 divided by b to the 4. So again, we can write that as a fraction. B to the 5 means b times b times b times b and one more. And then I have 4 b's down here. Then we do the same trick. If we have a pair of b's on the top and the bottom, they can cancel each other out. So these go, these go, these go, and these go. What I've got left, I just have this 1b, which we can write as b to the power of 1. Well, sometimes we don't even write that, we just write it as b. And that's the basic idea. So to explain the main rule or shortcut, basically what we've got, we have 5 b's on the top, we have 4 b's on the bottom, and the b's on the bottom are taking away my b's on the top. So the shortcut is, all you need to do is subtract your powers here. If you do 5 take away 4, you're going to be left with 1b. And same before. Here we had 7 y's, and by dividing we sort of cancelled out 2 of those y's, which meant we had 5 y's left. Again, this 5 comes from doing 7 take away 2. So now we have the rule that when we're dividing, we need to subtract the powers. So I have 10x's here, I'm taking away 7 of them, which means there are only 3 left, because 10 minus 7 is 3, so it's x power of 3 or x cubed. Does get slightly more advanced than that. For some of the questions, you might end up going into negative numbers. So here you want to do 2 take away 4, and if you do 2 minus 4, that will be a negative number because 4 is bigger than 2. And 2 minus 4 gives you minus 2. So that'll be x power of minus 2. That does sometimes, it's absolutely fine, doesn't break any rules, just keep an eye out for that. We have a special case, and if we look here, we've got no power for both these questions. So that can confuse a few people. Let's do it a long way first and I'll explain what's going on. So I'll do this term in blue. So n to the 5 means I have 5 of them. And then I'm also timesing that by n. So altogether we can see I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 n's. So that is n to the power of 6. And what's happened here is whenever you don't see any power, whenever there's no power, that means the power is 1. If it's just saying times n, it just means times 1n. So the same rule here, I've got no power, that means the power is 1. And then we know that when we divide, we subtract the powers, so 6 take away 1 is 5. So it's going to be c to the power of 5. Okay, that's it. If you look in the description, the video description, there is a sheet with just a few questions to try. They're all fairly straightforward. They get slightly harder in part 3 where I mix them up from times and divide. Okay, thanks for listening, and I hope that helped.